We all know the popular story, Cleopatra, the dangerously beautiful femme fatale whose physical allure seduced and ruined two of Rome's greatest military leaders. That image is a fabrication. What we accept as historical fact is actually a highly effective 2,000-year-old political smear campaign, engineered by the men who defeated her. At 18 years old, she inherited a fractured Egyptian empire on the verge of civil war. Her kingdom sat directly in the path of a rapidly expanding, heavily armed Roman superpower. Surviving this geopolitical nightmare required a lethal, highly educated political intellect. The Ptolemaic dynasty she was born into was exceptionally brutal. Family members routinely poisoned, exiled, and assassinated each other to maintain their grip on the throne. Looking at these temple reliefs, you can see how she integrated herself into local traditions. Her Greek ancestors ruled Egypt for 300 years without learning the local language. She mastered Egyptian to win the loyalty of the common people. When her brother's powerful courtiers forced her into exile, she refused to surrender. She fled to Syria and immediately began raising a mercenary army to take her kingdom back by force. Her early survival was defined by calculated statecraft. She operated like a CEO managing a failing state, building internal support and outmaneuvering her rivals through pragmatic diplomacy. Her opportunity to strike back arrived when Julius Caesar landed in Egypt to mediate the sibling dispute. But her brother's army controlled Alexandria, cutting her off from the Roman leader. Getting inside the palace required bypassing a heavy military blockade. She had herself rolled into a carpet and smuggled through enemy lines by a single servant, a high-risk tactical infiltration. Once inside, she presented herself as an intellectual equal. She offered a cold transaction, the vast agricultural wealth Rome needed, in exchange for the military power required to crush her brother's forces. The negotiation worked. Caesar backed her claim and restored her to the throne. She had taken her position as an isolated, exiled woman and transformed it into a strategic alliance that secured her empire. Years later, Caesar is assassinated, Rome fractures, and the new Eastern ruler, Mark Antony, summons her to demand funding for his upcoming military campaigns. She refused to appear as a subordinate. Instead, she sailed up the river on a massive ship with a gold-plated stern and purple sails, dressed as the goddess Venus, enveloped in clouds of incense. This coin displays both of their faces, hard evidence of a recognized political partnership. Through this alliance, she secured Antony's Roman legions for her own ambition of building a unified Eastern empire. Spectacle and immense wealth were her primary psychological weapons. She managed the most powerful military leaders of her time by strictly dictating the terms of their engagement. This statue shows Octavian, Caesar's legal heir. He knew his military forces couldn't easily defeat Antony's combined Eastern legions in a straight fight. Octavian shifted tactics. He launched an empire-wide smear campaign, acquiring Antony's will and reading it aloud to the Senate to rebrand the respected Roman general as a puppet controlled by a foreign witch. He leveraged Roman xenophobia and traditional sexism to declare war on Cleopatra directly, rebranding a struggle for power as a holy crusade to save Rome. Information was his most devastating weapon. Octavian stripped Antony of his Roman identity and won the war in the minds of the citizens long before a single ship set sail. As this tactical map shows, the conflict peaked at the Battle of Actium. Octavian's agile ships outmaneuvered and trapped the massive Egyptian vessels, forcing Antony and Cleopatra to flee back to Alexandria. Within months, Octavian's forces reached the gates of Egypt. His army broken and facing total defeat, Antony took his own life. Octavian ordered his men to capture Cleopatra alive. He intended to drag her back to Rome, bound in golden chains, parading her through the streets as a political trophy. She had lost the military war. Her empire was collapsing, but she realized she still held the power to make one final move in the public relations war. She orchestrated her death using a smuggled venomous snake, a defiant, calculated political maneuver designed to maintain her dignity. Looking at this stoic marble bust from her era, you see the real ruler. By choosing her own end, she denied Octavian his victory parade and ensured she died as a sovereign queen. Octavian absorbed Egypt's wealth, returned to Rome to become Emperor Augustus, and solidified his smear campaign into the official historical record. His campaign succeeded so completely that for 2 millennia, her intellect was effectively deleted from history. We are left with his version, the seductive monster, a narrative that replaced the reality of the last.